Good. Well, welcome everyone. So I wanted to go over the different screens, and some people have some Salesforce experience. Who has never heard about Salesforce? Okay, so we have a couple of people. So Salesforce is an online. It started out as a customer relationship management system, but it's grown into many different flavors. People manage all kinds of applications these days with Salesforce, and OEdit has been using it for the last 3-4 years to manage a lot of the grant system information. So this is really the main screen that we've been using for business funding and incentives. We have four portals right now. There's another one for tourism, there's one for creative industries, and one for the international team. But for this program, everyone will be going to this website, and you can access that from the Advanced Colorado website, and also we have a link from the DOLA website, which is really the starting point for applicants. So this is the main screen for the applicants. We can, if you have an applicant that is interested in the system, you want to direct them to this website, and they can sign up as a new user right on the bottom here. And then once they get logged into the system, they need to provide some information. But we're not going to go ahead and cover that in more detail. There is some great instructions that Jeanette has created on how to do that. We're really talking more about the administration and for us to log in and administer the applications that then have been submitted by the clients. So we have two logins here on the bottom, a little hidden. One is for the Enterprise Zone admin login. We've been using the partner portal now for about 1.5 years for the 18 Enterprise Zones. Yeah. And we've been doing that, out in the community throughout the states. It's been working really well. So when we started thinking about this program, we wanted to kind of build on top of the experience we've gained with that. So we created a new link on the bottom here, which is called RCBG partner login. That is really your link to go to the website. And we turned on the partner portal last week, and whoever had a login, they should have gotten an email with some, welcome to the BFNI partner portal and some login information. And later on today, once we're done with the training, we can make sure that everyone who has a login, that they can log in, and we'll configure your profile. And this is really not an application that is just static. It's really a platform that should allow us to collaborate, because we have so many different agencies involved. And it's not only looking at the application, but there's another part, what they call Chatter in Salesforce. And Chatter is kind of the collaboration platform. It's kind of like the Facebook for business. That's how they market it. But it really, it's a great tool for people who are not working, and you can holler over the QB wall to your colleague, if they are all the way up in Fort Collins. It's a great way to share information and to kind of go ahead and track also what has been said and what, is inquired about this application. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I am going to click on this link here, and it then will bring me to the login for the partner community. And that's where you would enter your username and your password. You can also reset your password yourself on the bottom there. And I created already a couple of accounts. I'm going to wear multiple hats here today. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. Huh? No, just right now, we're just going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of review the system. And I think, in about 45 minutes or so, we can then stop and work with each of you to log in. I normally learn by doing things. If someone gives me a show and tell, I don't really, feel comfortable with that. So we wanted to do the same thing for you as well. But first, we want to introduce the system and kind of give you an overview, and then spend time with you to get logged in. Good. All right, so I'm going to log out, and it will direct me back to the main website, and I can go ahead and log in from So when you log into the system, we try to make it very easy. And this is not 100. Let me go ahead and adjust that. We wanted to make it easy, and there's only 2 tabs that we have. The first one is the chatter tab, and that's really kind of the collaboration platform where you can follow your coworkers, you can follow George or Jeanette or myself, you can post questions to them, ask information about certain applications, and you can also follow certain applications. Let's say, there's a problem with one and you want to be updated on what is going on with this application. You can follow that as well, the same way you would follow a picture or something like that on Facebook.
Can you upload files here?
Yes, you can upload files as well. So that's part of the system to do. The second tab is really the tab that has all the applications. And in general, you can see we have a drop down here. It gives you the information that you recently viewed. And I'm logged in as a small business development center right now. And I made myself part of the Boulder team. So as a Boulder small business development center, you will only see applications that really belong to the Boulder Small Business Development Center. For upstate Colorado, you'll be able to see all applications since you're working with all the different organizations. All right, and then we have a.
If we work together in a file, we both be able to see what's the.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The train or the list of all the communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll keep track of that. And there's about 20 fields that we're going to be turning on. We'll kind of, have an audit trail on who's changed what status at what time. We're going to go ahead, keep track of, some of the narratives and information like that. And everyone has their own section where they can document, what action needs to be taken. So I'm just, then we have a drop-down list here. We have tourism funding and business funding. We don't have any an open tourism grant at this point, so I'm just going to jump into the business funding. These views give you a list of all the information. It's a little small on this screen, but you're probably in your office, you have a little wider screen. You can we'll have up to 15 columns here, and they can be sorted. You can see here. You can click on each of these headers and find information and sort by project number. There's a Rolodex up here. So let's say we want to only view information about a project that started with a company of A, or you want to look at the account information. So you can go ahead and search this information. And filter it down by the Rolodex. Clicking on the all here will display all information. And then they have another way of finding information, and that is just by the search function up here, and you can come ahead and find the information that you're looking for.
This is the new, the AS. Oh, I was just going to ask that question, but now you just answered my question. I thought the AS number that appears on the left took the place of the EDGL, but it didn't.
So, yeah, this is an external name here that we can't really modify in Salesforce application summary, but we also imported all the project numbers, and we migrated all the existing paper records, or not paper records, but the records that were in a Google document, and we migrated that information into the system. And we have a way of tracking here. And George, this is the grant number, correct?
Correct.
So, and then the existing one, the first round is EDGL-01. So you have a quick way of determining it. And if there's another one coming out, like tourism, we could have a different prefix. So we'll be able to kind of slice and dice the data as it is needed.
So once they submit everything that's required in that application submittal, it automatically generates a number, and then it notifies the SBDC, right, Matthias?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Rosa, you would get an email that would say, something about something has been applied for and the number's already been assigned. So you won't get emails from me anymore that say attached is all that. You'll see it in Salesforce.
And what happens when the data is not complete, George? So, for example, some people don't have their DONS number at the time they do the application or some other data.
It'll just show you what they submitted.
Okay.
Some things it forces them to submit or it won't accept it, and some things it doesn't require. They can leave it blank and it will still accept it.
Like nonprofit status, because that's not one of the options.
We'd have to look at that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
in general, the application, we have an option to make a question required, and the applicant cannot
Right.
submit the application until all the required information has been submitted. Like on the PDF forms, they could just leave something blank and send it to you.
Right.
That's not the case with this application. If it's required, they need to fill it in. Sometimes they fill in maybe bogus information, but they have a vested interest of getting the money, so they need to give us the data. But anyhow, so they cannot submit the data. So hopefully we'll get good data from the clients. But like you said, there is some information that they might not be aware of. What's their DUNS number, or what other information they have. Like
Yes, if they can we search by the name
Yes.
of the person instead of the name of the
yes,
Yes.
Yeah, you can search by anything that is in the application.
Very helpful that way, Rosie.
Yes.
Very helpful.
So I'm going to go ahead and jump over here, and I'm going to jump back into the screen that George uses. All right. So when an application is submitted, we have a status, and we have an area here that's called responsible, and that tells the system, for which status, which group is responsible at the current time. So when it gets to submitted, we come and you get an email, whoever the assigned small business development center is. And it gets assigned to that group. Then at that point, you can go ahead and the first step really in the process is contact the client, gather additional information, and you had ask can we add any documentation? This is here your screen that you have, where you can add any information that you need to gather from the client. Different ways, some clients bring in probably paper records and you can scan them in, or they email them to you, or whatever the process is. There's a lot of ambiguity how people have their records, and they just might bring in a shoebox with receipts or something like that. So so we didn't want to make put that burden on the business, but you as a supporting organization can take that information, digitize it, and then add it to the system.
Yeah, here on the responsible party, for example, if the client needs to give you documentation and you as an SBC cannot go further until you provide, is there a responsible status that says client?
Not at this point, but you can add to there's a small business development center narrative. Where you can say, okay, I met with the client, and add any additional information that you want to share about or under status notes is really a shared field. Client will.
That's what I've been using a lot, Rosie, is that status field.
That status notes.
Status notes, yes.
So this is like the Excel spreadsheet in a smarter way.
Correct.
Pretty much.
But you do have to save it. There's a save button up there.
Yeah.
You won't save anything unless you push that.
Forget it. It's not QuickBooks, right?
Right.
So I'm just going to add some information here. So if I put this in, you'll see that it has been saved. I can add documentation as I get it. I click on this link. You can upload multiple files. Let me see what I have here. I think I have a couple of um, GIFs that are just as small. I'm going to delete this afterwards. But you can cycle through this multiple times, and upload as many documents. The limit is 25 megabytes per file, but that's huge. So most of the time people give you, on your scanner, you probably scan it to a PDF. 25 megabytes is I hardly.
25 megabytes all per file.
No, per file.
Per file.
So, yeah. So. And how many documents in general are you getting from the clients?
We're working on a lady who's sending all of her bank statements for 18 months.
But they're coming PDFs.
Okay.
So they don't.
The problem is when you scan them on a PDF on a really bad printer or scanner, they make the document super heavy.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. No, 25 megabytes. And sometimes, I don't know, do you have Adobe Acrobat?
Yes.
Okay. There's a function to merge these documents together if rather than having, 20 single bank statements, I like to kind of merge them all together because then I open one document rather than having to click to 20 of them.
The reader has that.
Not the reader, the full version. Yeah.
Standard or professional?
The standard or professional.
Oh.
So it's definitely worth, the investment to. I think there might be some tools out there as well that are free.
I've seen
Typewriter tool, I think, is on Acrobat. That's
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I could look around because I work a lot with grantees on like getting a lot of PDFs into one and then also compressing them so they're not so big.
Yeah, to use it. Yeah, or you compress them as a zip.
Uh,
Or
no.
you all
No,
have
you-
something.
the Adobe Acrobat, or Professional, you could also reduce the file of the PDF. The system will ask you that. But I could look online and see if there's like some free stuff that could also.
Yeah. It's just, for your benefit because later on you need to look at that and you make your colleagues that are, the upstate Colorado really happy if you have one file that they can look at rather than having to open 20 and same for everyone. So it's kind of, helping each other to kind of get information into the system that is easy to use and manageable, so it's really kind of, and that's why we kind of said, let's go ahead and have us upload the information because that way we can set it in a way that we want it and we can manage it most efficiently.
Send you all the documents. And
No, you
Yeah,
as a I'm talking if I say us as a group,
Us,
yes. So.
Yeah, so that's the key
But
thing. is how
I mean, for like your clients, maybe I could find like some free links which they could like maybe get their files sized down if need be.
But in general, it hasn't been a problem of getting the information into. It's pretty big, yeah.
But if we do send them as a zip, that they shouldn't, because that's what I always.
If they could upload.
Yeah, you
zips,
can upload some files.
Yeah, and they just download them.
Yeah.
That's
So.
fine. Well, that's them then.
So as you see, once I go in here, I already have a couple of documents. You can mouse over this link, and you see all the documents that have been uploaded. You can view the document. The nice thing with PDFs is you have an inline viewer, so you don't need to download it and open it. It will display the information automatically in a new window. So it does that for a couple of files. So like a CSV file, it doesn't do that. So, but it's mainly pictures, PDFs. I think there's a Word viewer, and Excel can actually also be displayed inline, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of a handy feature because you can very quickly get to the information here in your. You see, this is a PDF, and boom, I have it right on my screen, and it opens in a new tab. So
It'll download Excel files.
yes, yeah. So I can click on the file itself, and then I can say view file, and then download it. The PDF you can download with isn't there like a little this is Firefox. You would download it right here. So different browsers do it a little different, but in general, so you have easy access to the file. So just in general, PDFs I think are the most preferred format, and any other item is after that.
Yay.
All right. So once we're really having completed the documentation, we can go ahead and change the status. And you see how responsible, as soon as I change this, that I'm from the Small Business Development Center, happy with the documentation. Update my notes, change the. I'm going to go ahead and say Small Business Development Center documentation is complete. And you see it's automatically changed the responsible party to Upstate Colorado. Let me go to my email now. I wanted to make sure that. Yeah, I got a notice. So we'll go into Google. Yep. So there's my email that I got from the system, and it is sent to the people up on the top at Upstate Colorado. We can manage that, so if other people need to be added and removed, we have a group. For the small business development centers, we ask that you might be creating like a group alias, then it's easier for you to add, staff in and out of this group, because Jeanette might not be aware if someone comes in or leaves the organization or roles change. So it's probably easier to have that group email, and then you can manage that as needed. Someone is on vacation, someone is taking over for 2 weeks or a week and a half. You can manage that on your end it's probably easier than that, and that way. Information gets to the right person at the right time. So that kind of business logic is probably better in your hands rather than at OED trying to keep track of who is responsible or who's leaving the organization. There's always staff changes. So, but this is in general the email. Making it easy, we have the statuses here that is most important. So whatever you want to pass on to your colleagues, any notes, we have a link right here that you can click, and it brings you directly to that record. So I'm going to go ahead. I have my browser link to Chrome. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that link because I am logged in as Upstate Colorado in my Safari browser, and I'm just going to copy that link in here and hit return. And voila, I'm getting directly into that feed. I can see what the status is. I see that, Gunther from Boulder Small Business Development Center changed the status to the completed. And I can hide this feed and see, the application right here. From this point, and this is where we probably need a little bit of your feedback as well. We have the page layout design pretty much like the applicant enters the information, but that might not be the way you are looking at the information. So what we would like from you is once you go ahead and look at this, do a printable view and then share that information with George and Jeanette, and we can go ahead and reorganize the page layout so that you can look at the information in the way that is most important to you. Right now, fields are all over the place, and you might need to look up on the top left and then the bottom right, so it might not support your business flow, but we can change that. We can make it the way that you need to look at that information. We need to kind of come to a consensus, and lucky, the people that are here, they're probably going to go ahead and be able to contribute, and then the people otherwise, but it should be very similar to everyone who is working on the data. And we can create 2 different page layouts, one for the small business development centers and one for Upstate Colorado, because you look at the information probably in a different way than George looks at it or the client enters the information. So that's something that we want to still do. You can print the information out. There's a printable view. if you don't like to look at information in a on the screen, it puts all the information together. On the bottom, you're going to see all the status updates, and there should be a section. Oh, here's all the attachments that you can see, and then you get the history of what has been done with the application. So it gets over time, it gets quite a bit of information there, but we can go ahead and look at that in a more printable fashion.
So this is the historical?
This is on the bottom. You have the historical information, and we had David was the one who filled out the application, and we worked on that last week. We kind of did an internal training and kind of a sanity check, I guess you can say, to make sure that everything is working correctly before we present it to you. So we worked on the same application last week, and we had a good, we went through all the steps, and that's why we have such a long history. So it should really go only back and forth a couple of times, depending on. So. If I'm logged in as upstate Colorado, and you can see I can't edit the Small Business Development Center narrative. Now I'm logged in as a different user, but I have my Colorado narrative here. So you only have a couple of statuses that you can move forward. Or backward, so you can requeue it to the Small Business Development Center, and now you're in charge right now. We're talking about upstate Colorado. Let's say you're looking at the application, some documentation that you still need. So what you can do is you can go ahead and requeue it to the Small Business Development Center and say missing. Let's say what is a document? Bank statements. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and voila. Go ahead and it should not be. It should be.
You need to have a network connection in order to use this tool, right?
Yes. Why is it still?
Is this an automatic, or is there a way to make it clear, not fuzzy?
You mean the screen?
The screen, does anybody else look fuzzy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it could be. It's like to the.
Might have an auto. Oh, very much better. Thank you. I was wondering if I needed new glasses.
Sorry about that. Yeah, they warm up over time, so.
And that's requested, right?
Okay, so I'm going to go back over to. So I requeued it to the Small Business Development Center. We're going to check our email. Need to go to a different email account. Let's see. We've been having some issues with the email, not sending quick enough. But in general, we're talking about some time. But you're going to go ahead and get a similar email to. No, what's going on? All right, well, let's go ahead and continue from here. We changed the status requeued to Small Business Development Center, added some location information here, missing bank information. So now you, as a Small Business Development Center, can go ahead and add the additional documentation, go through, and And of course, you know that you would need to contact the client, get the information. So there might be a lag of a couple of days. But again, you know, it doesn't need to happen immediately. And it's not like email, you know, for me, if it drops below, you know, the screen of the inbox, you know, it gets further and further and further away. Yeah, it's kind of it's one place. So you kind of keep track of that information.
That was gonna be my last, my next question is like, is there any way that you can upload when you send an email requesting stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Did you just copy and paste, or is there a way to like send a copy, kind of like a duplicate copy to the system, and then it just gets registered there, or something? I mean,
Do a PDF of it and save the PDF.
so like for example, we need the bank statement, so we send the email to the client saying, hey, Upstate requested these specific dates for your bank statements.
Mhm.
Could you please send them over? And just, you know, I'm just, since this is so nice, I'm just getting lazy, you know?
Well, it's
So
much
is there any
easier,
way to,
yeah.
you know, to upload that message so it
If you
shows
save it
when
as a
you send-
PDF, you can upload the PDF, but I don't think that it goes from, because there's so many different email systems that it can't
Yeah.
automatically do it. But if you save it as a PDF, you can do it. I've done it plenty of times.
Well, as a partner user, unfortunately, the internal folks have that capability who has a full Salesforce account, but as a with a partner license, we don't have that available. But you could still copy and paste that information,
Sure.
or attach it as well and keep track of that.
Because if anybody with editability posted a Word doc or PDF or something, then you could also download it, right? Subsequently,
Yes.
and then use it on your desktop. So that might be a way to do what you're saying.
Okay, so we have we changed it. We uploaded the documentation. It's gone back to Upstate Colorado, and I'm going back over to Upstate Colorado. I can go ahead and continue my review from here. I got another message at my computer. Stating that the information has been submitted, and I can take action from here. I can go in and edit the information, and now move it over to Upstate Colorado Review Complete, and save the information. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and clear out this status node, and
Then on George's desk.
yeah, it's gonna go into George's desk, recommending for a grant, whatever information is needed there. And we left it in a way extra open, not to make it too structured, to make sure that you can have that, information in a way that is, applicable to that application. And so that way we'll go ahead and hit save. And now it's going into OEdit's hands. And you should have gotten a notification. And I think I am still in that group as well. Let me see. There we go. So this is a message that George then gets from, and you see it was sent from my Gmail account here, which is the email address that I used for Upstate Colorado. It gets information, it adds the node, and it adds my name, and George can just click on that link and then take it forward, and go to, and I actually can click on this now because I am logged in, and he can get directly to this application, does his review, edit, and for him, only he can send it back to you if he needs additional information, or he can complete the award review, and then it's going back to Upstate Colorado for you to send out the letter and get the information out to the client to send out the award letter. So I wanted to take a time here to bring up the process. because it all works in a very similar fashion. So this is kind of, looks a little complicated, but I wanted to go over this in more detail. So we have really the applicant, we have the small business development centers, we have upstate Colorado and OEdit. So really the application comes in and is submitted by the applicant. At this time, they can either withdraw or they can go ahead and schedule the meeting with you to go ahead and gather the additional information. Then at one point, you're completing the documentation, and then it's handed over to upstate Colorado for their initial review. Once they completed their review, it goes into Georgia's hand, or if what we did before, we said we'll recute it to a small business development center for additional information, and then it can go back into the loop. Same thing here, we're under review, complete. Now George looks at it, he's missing a document, he can send it back to you, or he wants additional information. If he approves it to move forward, it goes over back to you for upstate Colorado to send out the award letter. Then back to Small Business Development Center for gathering all the invoices and all the documentation that's needed so we can actually reimburse them for the actual expenses. Is reviewed by upstate Colorado, gets approved, and then the payment to the business, a check payment, is sent out, and that kind of completes the process in the online application. There's a couple of other steps to work with DOLA, and but this is part out of the scope of this application. But that's really the flow through. There is a process of denying the application, and then the applicant can appeal, and it might go through the process again. So it's quite a complicated business process, and there's 4 organizations involved. But I think with this application, we have a tool that's flexible, that fosters collaboration, and hopefully will help us to improve the turnaround time and make sure that we all look at the same information, and emails don't get lost, and information is not stored on one shared drive and not shared with the other people. So that's good. Hopefully that will work. That brings us to the second part, and it's about 11 o'clock. And that is about the collaboration platform. So we showed how to move this information, from one organization to another. It works very much the same way for the other stages. So I'm not going to go and cover that in detail. We can work on that a little bit later when we do like the one-on-one working with you. But I wanted to talk about Chatter now. And that is the collaboration platform. And that is the other tab that we have. And Chatter is really information about sharing who we are, what we do, how we collaborate with information. So what I can do on an application, I was working on this one. As you can see up here, there is a follow link. So if I just change anything on this application, I'm going to go ahead and log in as George here. And I think I have my application, edit, and I say it. I changed the status to award notification complete. If I go back over to my Chatter, you will see that I follow this application, and you can see it gives information on what has happened, who has done what on this, and I can kind of follow this. It's the same way you can follow people in the organization. And so there's George, this is myself, there's Jeanette. You can view all people, and this is where we want to go ahead and set you up and make sure that we have everything configured. We want to go ahead and add your organization name, title, phone numbers, and information that you have available. As you can see, I'm in the system twice. I set already my organization here, but in general, everyone is just listed as partner, and it doesn't really tell me where does this person work. Maybe someone is coming in a little later, and you're not familiar with them or the other centers. Maybe is there cases where someone selects one small business development center, but they really belong to another one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, so you can pass the information on and change it, and that's something that we want to go. And that way, you could you could send that person a message. Maybe you went through half the review process already. You want to share that information with that other.
So, like in my case, would you recommend that I set up one rosy Boulder, rosy Colorado Springs? Is that how you?
I think we can set up one account for you, and then we would need to probably share her partner portal with two different centers. We need a different permission set for that. But we can get that configured for you. I think there's a couple of people. You work also at different. No,
just with Boulder.
Oh, just with Boulder. Okay, so. Mhm.
You mentioned that the award was completed, right?
Mhm.
I noticed I didn't get an alert on my email account, so I was just wondering what needs to happen in order to actually send that letter out to the client. Is that outside of Salesforce?
Yes, that's something that we would need to the letter would need to be created by Upstate the same way they create the letter, and then you would send that information. It's not an automatic update, to make sure that it's just kind of George approved it, and then we have a manual process to get that information sent out to the client. The same way it is at this point. So I think it's a safeguard to kind of not send information out without really having another way of you looking at it and you being in charge. We don't really want to send. George doesn't want to send an email on your behalf without you looking at it. So that's really where that's coming from.
And then at that point, you guys could upload a PDF of that letter into Salesforce so that there's a record of it in there, and you don't have to send a separate email or try to remember to do that.
So, and so we can. There's room for enhancements to the system as well. But for the time being, I think it's a good transition from a paper process to an online process where we can collaborate. And then as we get more experience and see, this is really, that would be nice to do an enhancement here, and then we can probably look at that as well. But I wanted to talk about Chatter at this point. So if I am logged in here, and we'll be working with that. We would like everyone to add a photo or like a avatar, whatever you feel comfortable with. But we're visual people, looking at this information here, it's just easier to find who someone is. If you look at the all people.
And if you want me to take a picture of you or something in the room to represent you, just get with me during the meeting during a break, and I'll be glad to do that.
So, but in general, it's been my experience. It's just it works quicker. I'm a visual person. I can looking at that I can find something that Jeanette says like 10 times faster than some of these smiley faces. And it just makes it more personal. You met the person, you kind of work together. So that's one thing we would like to add. Everyone either add an avatar or a picture of. To kind of collaborate. We have groups that we could later on establish. We don't have any in the system right now, and that's really up to you. That can, if you have special projects or like a certain area that you can collaborate. We have a file section that where you can upload files. And here these files are actually larger, and you can share permissions. But in general, it's really the people section that you want to go through, and you can follow certain people in the system. If I go to all people, I can go ahead and I want to go ahead and follow my other account here, and now you can see what this person is, and you can collaborate with them easier.
The files, maybe we can create a library of the files that we, like, for example, the forms that we use, alumni, all of that stuff.
Yeah, so
That
it's
would be
not-
Yeah.
yeah, that's a very good.
And
Yeah, then you just have like, that's the one
One
spot,
place.
it's the most up-to-date document.
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and if it changes or something, then George can maybe put the new one there for everybody to use.
correct. And the system also has file versioning, which is really nice. So if you upload a new version, it will keep the old version, but it will always version the files. So it's really kind of a document management system as well. The other option that we have, if it's a document that the client might want to use, we might want to enhance the online application. We have a section where we can post templates and then have them submit that information right with the application. So that's kind of nice to have, because what you can, like,
PDF filler. something.
Yeah, like if you have a file upload, like we'll have the link to the correct document and most up-to-date one right there. So they don't have to go like look at a website. It's like right there and they just download it.
One.
let's say you are requiring a W-9, you can take the state-approved W-9 form and host it on the system, and then when they upload it, they have a link underneath to download the template. So they don't need to go searching on the internet to get that information. So
Yeah.
that's something we can. But for the time being, we just took the existing application and ported it to the online application. So there's some room for improvement, and we've been using this for all the other groups, and we've been having quite a bit of experience. It's quite easy to do that change. All right. So for the part of the chatter, I think it would be better to work with everyone. To get in here, you can click on your name, and then if you click on the little icon, you can go in and edit all your information and about. And this is really where you want to go ahead and add your company or your organization. You can enter some about me, title, nickname, first name, last name, just basic contact information. Phone number might be good. And you can set, the access level here if you want external people to be able to see it, but it should be really set to employees. And address information, very important. Fax is still here, but I haven't sent a fax in quite a while these days. I think faxes are going away the same way like the DVDs are going away at this point.
So
So
that's that person that doesn't have any email.
yeah.
Or computers.
So tell me.
Yeah. But that's really why we have the upload internally, so we can take whatever the small business, and there's a high tech companies and there's really small organizations, but they still got affected by any
Yeah. Boulder SBDC still does have a fax number.
Okay. Yeah, no, most organizations do, but I just was kind of
Yeah.
kidding, And I mean, in healthcare, like with HIPAA, there's lots of faxing still going on as well, because you can't really send email information about confidential, because email is not a confidential communication. This system is confidential. You see the HTTPS, meaning it's a secure socket layer connection, so you can't be intercepted anywhere. So everything is safe, and there's no way someone can look over your shoulders or get to that information. Very good. Well, I wanted to take time now to stop at this point, kind of stop my show and tell, and start switching over to working with each of you to get first your profile set up, and then kind of look at the information and review and collaborate. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.